Make sure you turn that mics on.
Your microphone. We'll make sure y'all microphones are on. You can turn yours on.
Yeah, so he might park and riding the golf cart in the rain. Who else?
Give us some good news. If Joe could give us some good news.
They got quiet. We still got 2 minutes, y'all.
Our representative.
Everybody start seeing let it quiet game.
Yeah, right.
Been seeing two of them.
I hope you get
To the point.
You'll be like that for 100 years.
It was all quiet just for you.
And then the boards are always good over there.
Just for you, Joe.
Heard you on the radio.
So they put them on.
Nothing better than that.
I get 6.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, you want to go from here? You can go. I'd have had to, everybody would have left. You what? I had to because everybody was leaving while he was there. So you jumped on the dock and I did all that I said.
Can you save Nick?
You better defend yourself, Nick.
I missed that.
Did he say Friday night? He said, I had to. Oh, your guy was like ready to kick everybody. You was there.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair.
Rail, drop that off. In your vehicle,
LSU tickets?
Yes. Hey, Mac, he keeps coming back.
Where you keep them at? We got some. We got all kinds of
I don't like that.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of Lafourche Levee District for September the 2nd. Kyle, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mary.
Keith Tidrick.
Here.
Gavin Colley.
Here.
Roland Kirall.
Here.
Mitch Daniels.
Here.
Brett DeRoche.
Here.
Scott Terrio.
Here.
Ryan Marks.
Here.
Andy Rowe.
Here.
Monty Vegas.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a full house.
All right, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, you've been presented copy of the meeting, the minutes of the meeting from August 11th. Looking for approval from Brett, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, the president's report. All I have right now is to remind you guys about the December 3rd and 4th ALVL in New Orleans. Make sure you get with Mary and so she can confirm our rooms and everything else we need. So we moving on to the executive committee report, Scott.
We didn't meet this month, so nothing to report.
All right. And I want to thank everyone for adjusting our schedule with the holiday and next week not being available, so appreciate that. Anyone from here from the audience to address the board?
I would like to
Go ahead, Bill.
present Nick with something. Of course, Nick and I had a meeting recently with the planning and facilities.
Facility planning and control with the state.
We'll probably talk about that.
Or Delta Coast, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, part of that was to get the money for instrumentation cameras and everything else. And in the supplemental bill this year, I was able to get a little bit more money, and I called Nick and I said, what is it that we need here in the levee to make it as good as what Terrebonne has? And we didn't put any flow meters through in the original capital outlay for the instrumentation. And I said, what it takes for the flow meters, he said $50,000. So I got a line item in the supplemental bill to add $50,000 so that we could have the flow meters. Awesome. And sure enough, he was on the radio talking with Buddy Hill about how strong the current gets sometimes. So this is just a fancy copy of what we call of the supplemental bill that shows 50 grand coming to y'all to help tackle a little bit of a gap that we have.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for doing
Appreciate your
it.
efforts, definitely appreciate your efforts. Okay, moving on, Executive Director report next.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So the first thing is a Corps of Engineers update. On Thursday, August 21st, the Mississippi River Commission completed their 2-week-long low water inspection trip. It started in St. Louis, Missouri, and ended at the Port of Morgan City. I attended a reception for the commission that Thursday evening in Morgan City, and then the public hearing the next morning on Friday, August 22nd, aboard the motor vessel Mississippi. You see a photo of that in that top picture there. In my comments at the public meeting on Friday, I did request that the Corps prioritize completing the report that we got included in Section 1317 of the 2024 Water Resources Development Act. That report again looks at our 100-year storm elevations, what we need to do to get our levee to meet those elevations, and what the cost of that would be, and an updated economic report on the value of buildings and infrastructure inside the system that we protect, ultimately performing a rough benefit-cost ratio evaluation, and that information would help us decide what's going to be our best course of action moving forward as far as our federal authorization. Should we get a new authorization, amend the existing one? Is it worth it at all? Should we just continue like we're doing and building better and bigger in-house? I also did mention that in the nearly 60 years since the levee district began, I really had nothing negative to say about the Corps of Engineers for the first time in those 60 years. So it was kind of met with a little laugh, but it's definitely true. At last year's public meeting for the low water inspection trip, our comments were not as pleasant, but I've got to give credit where it's due, and I think Joe's going to talk a little bit about that in a little while when he updates on the East permit. But we did summarize the draft findings of the semi-quantitative risk assessment that the Corps has been doing the past 3 years, which basically says that we're not going to fail for a 100-year storm. If we did nothing else from this point on, we would not fail in a 100-year storm because of the way that we've built our levees, and we continue to maintain it. But I did also credit the New Orleans district for being extremely efficient with our current Section 408 permits for A East and A West. These were the permits that we didn't usually get after Hurricane Katrina, and that's one of the things that ultimately led to us being expelled from the Corps' rehabilitation and inspection program in 2011. We did always try to get the permits, but if it looked like it was taking too long, Wendell and the board at the time just decided, you know what, if they stop us, they stop us. And they didn't stop us. Thankfully, we kept building and we held for Ida. So right, wrong, or indifferent, we made the decision that was made, and we kept our people dry, which is our job. So on our current permits, though, typically these Section 408 permits that you have to get when you're going to alter or do any kind of modification on or around a federally authorized project, which is what our levee system is. You have to let the Corps of Engineers look at what you're planning to do to make sure that you're not going to injure that project. They typically notoriously take between 2 and 3 years on average to get. If all the stars align and you have no wetland impacts, you have no comments coming back 18 months on a great day, you know, to get one of these permits. We met with the Corps of Engineers on February 24th to start this process, and it may be overly optimistic for me to say, but I think within 9 months from that date we'll be having 2 of these permits in hand. So you know, moving forward, So I sang the praises of the New Orleans district and had talked to Colonel Otan about it the night before and that morning. And so moving forward, Colonel Otan did approach me at on August 14th when we met with the newly appointed Assistant Secretary of the Army, Adam Tell. and said, hey, look, Nick, I got to get you on my calendar. I want to get me and my top staff down to South Lafourche. You can show us a couple spots on the levee and you can bring us up to speed on all the work that you've been doing. And so that was really impressive that he was obviously brought up to speed enough by that time. You know, this was August 14th. He was put in place, late July or early August. And so he was already enough aware of our system that knew that we were important enough that we had to get on his schedule. So we're targeting September 26th as the date that he would come into our district and do a little inspection and update. So I'll keep y'all posted on that. But any questions on that? Next, an update on our shoreline erosion control on the outside of our system. We've been updating y'all every month on the progress here that we got an area-wide permit a few years back to be able to go anywhere around the outside of our system where we were starting to see some erosion, especially where we have no marsh between the open water and the toe of our levee. We got an area-wide permit to install vinyl sheet pile wherever we needed. And so we've been doing that in the most critical areas. Here we see that sheet piles were installed north of Base on Boat Launch and Pump Station number 2. We'll come back after this and install some treated boards to hold these better together. You may have seen we started to do that behind the Golden Meadow Park if you've been there lately. And so for now though, once we finish this particular section that I've got in these photos, we'll hold off until probably October, November when it gets a little cooler. In the meantime, we're going to move that excavator behind the Golden Meadow Park to help with those efforts that we're doing there for maintenance work. And looking ahead, we're still accepting bids for a fixed price on vinyl sheet piles for a 1-year period. We're going to open those bids on September 24th here at the office at 11 a.m. and we'll recommend the lowest responsive bidder to the board at the October meeting. Once we start back up again, we'll move to the area along A East to hopefully have that work done and have our guys out of the way by the time that levee work gets ramped up, hopefully sometime next year. On the alternative planning demonstration that we've been running, on August 13th, the Finn Corporation and one of their local distributors brought another hydroseeder machine to the levee for a demonstration. This machine was definitely more compact and seemed easier to use than the last one. And we also used more grass seed this time around, so the coverage was much better. We have not yet seen any germination from there, but I just had 2 of our guys who were on site that day come to my office earlier today to say, hey, look, we just went and check it all out. The seed is all still there versus what we normally do with just the broadcast spreading, that if we get a heavy rain, all that washes down and just ends up on the berm of the levee. So all that seed that we've sprayed there is all still in place. We haven't had much rain. August has been kind of a drought month, and so we were talking that if we would go this route, like we've mentioned before, we'd be able to go and just fill those machines with water and be able to water anywhere that we plant in the meantime, you know, if we don't get a lot of rain. But it's kind of hard to see, but anywhere you can see in these pictures, the kind of like the turquoise, light blue little specks, that's all the grass seed that's still in place. So we'll keep watching this and we'll update the equipment committee in a few months on a recommendation and a path forward. But overall, this round was definitely more promising than the last one. Yeah. Then on Reach L of Morganza to the Gulf, we continue to have one of our dozers and operators assisting the Terrebonne Levee District with maintenance work on Reach L of Morganza to the Gulf. This is the section where the Terrebonne work ties into Section C, between Section C North and C South of our system. This is, if you take the Côte Blanche connection that goes between LA1 and the 4-lane highway and you just continue straight back towards Terrebonne, it's about there. If you just keep going to our levee, that's where that tie-in ends up being. So as we're continuing to, like I say, help do some maintenance work on that, lifting that levee back as close to we can as where it was. As we complete degrassing and an initial maintenance lift with our dozers, Delta Coast is coming behind us to mark a target of 9 feet in elevation that we may be able to get to. We might have enough material to hit that elevation. Originally it was constructed to a +10, but after it settled, even with all the extra material they had stockpiled, we really don't think it'll be enough to get all the way back to that 10, probably more realistically to only a 9. But Section C South, at that point where it ties in, is still at about a plus 17. So it's nowhere near where our levee is, but it's definitely going to provide some help to see north above there, which is at a plus 13 right now. And so we'll keep helping to do this maintenance lift. And then when it's done, obviously it's in our jurisdiction, it's part of our agreement with Terrebonne that we're going to maintain the grass on this levee once it starts grassing over after this work's done. The last item I have is an amendment with Griffin and Furman, CPAs, for our federal audit. Because we receive federal funds in excess of $750,000, we're required by law to have a separate federal audit done. And that's from the FEMA funds and the GOMESA funds that we receive. So this is the third amendment with Griffin and Furman CPAs for services to perform a federal single audit of our handling of those funds. The original agreement was dated back in June of 2023, and then it was amended in September 23 and October 2024. It's the same dollar amount as the last 2 years, $15,660 to do this audit. And so I'd recommend that the board approve amendment number 3 of the agreement with Griffin and Furman, and to authorize me, the executive director, to sign and execute those relevant documents.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to extend our agreement with Griffin and Furman. Moved by Scott, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And that's, if there are any questions, I'll take those, but that's my report.
All right, one question for Nick. Engineering report, CPRA. Daniel, you have anything to report?
Nothing for today.
Okay. Board of Engineers. Picciolo and Associates. Joe.
Okay, on the La Rose Lock project, we continue to work with the parish's consultant and in preparation for submitting a request to FEMA. We've gone through and done loss avoidance calculations in support of their benefit cost analysis. All of those numbers look favorable to our project, so we're continuing to work with their consultant HGA to move the application along. Hopefully in the next couple of months we'll know something. Section E North levee improvements, so construction site specialties, the contractor, they're continuing to work mostly on the northern side of the project. We do also have Campo and Sons working on grading and shaping the material. All of the levee is up to grade for the whole length of the project, and the levee crown is completely shaped into the design cross section. And so they're mostly working on building up the protected side berm, which is part of this project right now. So, should we have an event, we are at the elevation that we're shooting for. We do have a pay application number 11 for Campo and Sons LLC in the amount of $23,950 even, and we do recommend you approve that.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of engineer, pay application number 11, the Campo and Sons, in the amount of $23,950. Moved by Marty, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And on AEAS, as Nick alluded to, we've had some discussions with the Corps again about the 408 permitting. It looks like they don't have any more comments on the engineering per se, which is a good thing. And in the final touches before we receive the 408 permit is the environmental analysis, which they're happy with what we've done so far. They just have to finalize their report on their end. And in regulatory, we're being asked to do a site visit with their mitigation, or the wetlands expert to take a look at the project. So I just, as long as we're staying within the footprint of the right-of-way and original levee, we shouldn't have any issues with wetland permitting. But I think they want to come see it for themselves. So we'll do that fairly soon, and hopefully that'll all wrap up. And as Nick said, hopefully later this year we'll have a 408 permit, which is good. On our emergency gate closure, LaRose floodgate, we've been waiting all along for the delivery of the winches. We've been told that they've shipped to the contractor. As soon as he gets them, we'll issue his notice to proceed, and he has 30 days to put them all in place. So hopefully that'll be happening shortly here. And on Section D North Levee improvements, this is a new project from pump station number 6 all the way down past the brine storage pit on the east side of the bayou, all the way down towards the Schwest Farm. So we've done all our initial field surveying. We're currently putting together our design cross sections. You've approved the geotechnical work, which is hopefully going to start in the next couple of weeks. And we'll have to go out for permitting on this project also. And we're also meeting fairly shortly with the Allen family to discuss the potential of having a borrow pit close by that we can get the material from. So, any questions?
Any questions for Joe?
Thank you.
Joe. GIS.
How's it going? Morgan Degrees with GIS Engineering. First project we have is the AE's Bayou Water Retention. On this one, we've kind of had not a whole lot of movement on there. We're still dealing with the new landowner trying to move from, you could see the old alignment that we've had ready for, say, almost a year or so now. We've got all the letter of no objections from all the pipelines, everything like that. We ran into a little issue with Mr. Wynn, and we've met with the Allen Company and trying to get it moved a little further south. We've sent them some figures. We've tried to reach out to him. Nick's been in pretty consistent communication, so we're just waiting to hear back from them to get a go-ahead to get this thing moving and update those letters of no objection from the pipelines. At that point, we are going to update this design to a 3-to-1 side slope. It was originally just a 2-to-1. We had kind of talked a little bit and be a maintenance issue on y'all end, so we've widened it out. We've got everything ready, just trying to wait for okays from landowners. So kind of no timetable update unless Nick has heard something that I haven't. So nothing really.
Not from lack of trying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's. We've been reaching out to them. They say, "Oh, we'll get something to you," and then never hear anything. So, but that's really all we have with the A East. If anybody's got any questions. Nope. Next one is the D North ramp lift. So on this one, onshore is out there with Campo and Sons. We actually just received the 28-day post 28-day survey for them to go ahead and start installing the limestone. We approved that today, so they'll be out there this week installing the limestone on the southern portion of the levee, and that will get them fully moving two-way traffic, kind of get loop off our back a little bit there, and get all that kind of flagging cones out the way. At that point, once they're done with that, they'll come through and start installing the asphalt on top of there. So their current expected completion date is, I want to say, September 22nd, and that's still within contract of the 27th. So still looking good there. We've got a little bit of work left, so hopefully within the next 3 weeks, next time we talk to y'all, we'll be done with this. So we do have some agenda items on here. Pay application number 4 to onshore in the amount of $106,701.97. And we do recommend that y'all approve that pay app.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer. Pay application number 4 to onshore, amount of $106,701.97. Moved by Gavin, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, we have another agenda item here for change order number 3, also for onshore, in the amount of $42,135.00. This is for a little bit of an overage on the levee itself with some embankment. Originally, y'all were getting a +18 with your levee, and we went and basically made everything as high as we could at an 18 and a half. So you've got, close to an extra 6 inches of protection right there. It'll settle a little bit once we put the road and you start riding on it, but that is what the overage is from. So we do recommend that y'all award that change order.
You've heard the recommendation of our engineer for the change order number 3 for onshore, an amount of $42,135. Moved by Brad, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, I think that's it for D North. So the D South flood wall phase 3, nothing really to report here other than it is done. Everything looks good on that end. I don't think there's anything left to do, just kind of more of let y'all know project completed, and I think it came out really well. So I think that's it on that one. So we do have on here as well, I don't think we have any pictures for the A West levee improvements from the Golden Meadow flood wall over to the Apache Road. So we do have a proposal to get under contract with y'all, but we do need to kind of ad-lib it a little bit. In Nick and I's discussions, we've been trying to get a nailed-down scope from the Corps with y'all new 408 process of what they're going to require. Biggest thing being how they're going to treat the buried flood wall at Apache. So the proposal originally included some geotech work, but we're going to remove that for now, knowing that that's going to have to be included later on once we can get that scope nailed down. Whether that's going to go up or down, we don't necessarily know. So instead of it being for the 305, 675, it's actually going to be for 198, 725. So it'll be the original proposal less the geotechnical sub line item. And we do recommend y'all allow Nick to execute any documents and anything going forward with that project.
And ask Morgan to remove that line item so that we can give GIS to go ahead to start drafting the initial drawings so we can send it to the Corps so they can see where we're looking at and they can give us feedback on what they'd like to see on the geotech side.
Yeah, help facilitate them because they're just kind of shooting in the dark right now, and I mean, you know how they are, so.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer to give Nick approval to sign whatever he needed to get it done. Moved by Max, second by Monty. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, so we have a similar situation with the next one. Again, no pictures with the E-North levee lift from the northwest corner to the northeast, right by Joe's. So we are looking to go under contract for that as well. We have a proposal for y'all, similar situation. There's a little bit of an issue with the Cloverleaf pump station of what's going to be same thing with what the Corps is going to require on that. So it's a similar deal where we want to remove the geotech line item, then kind of be able to provide some drawings, anything like that, some figures to get that moving, and then potentially, just put it back in later. And then if they don't allow us to do anything with the pump station, then we can just keep the geotech scope to just the levee lift, and that'll end up saving a lot of money on that end. So that'll be less the geotech sub line item. So instead of the 533,900, that'll go down to the 373,475. So we do recommend that y'all allow Nick to be able to sign any of the documents needed to go forward with that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineer to allow Nick to sign the documents. Moved by Scott. Second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, and I think that's all we got. Any questions? Oh, sorry, we do have another one. Sorry about that. So the Raphael Project Road Bridge. So we have finished all of the survey work in the area. So right now they're processing the boundary survey to kind of determine whose property most of the bridge is on. We actually went and had a site visit with Nick to look at some pipe piles that y'all had. We're going to provide y'all with some alternatives of doing either a box culvert or using those pipe piles as some additional girders and then piles on there, or doing something like a Wasky Bridge. So we're looking to have that assessment to y'all maybe by the next meeting, maybe by October's meeting. So we should have that and then let y'all determine on how we want to move forward. So we are moving forward with that. So, any other questions? Nope.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, thank y'all.
Angela Design, Sandy.
We've got one project to go over, B North and B South levee maintenance. We've got New Gym Construction working on the protected side berm. And we have an invoice number 1054 in the amount of $20,287.50 for this work. And we recommend approving that invoice.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer. Pay request, invoice 1054, amount of $20,287.50 to New Gym. Moved by Max, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And on the same section of levee, we've got Compo and Sons working on the flood side maintenance work and on the protected side berm. We have invoice number 1426 in the amount of $84,967.50 for this work, and we recommend approving this invoice.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer. Pay request, invoice 1426 to Compo and Sons for $84,967.50. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
That's it for us. Thanks, guys.
Questions? Delta codes. Rich? Kyle?
Kyle Pierce with Delta Go. What did you call me, Keith? Did you call me Mitch? Did you call me Mitch? Dang.
Basically,
That's an insult to Mitch. He would say it's an insult to him.
Don't say it all your kids out there.
Anyhow, with regards to Morganza, just I know I briefed y'all last time on Reach L. Nick was talking about how you guys are doing the in-house stuff from where it ties into the levee at South Lafourche levee all the way pretty much to the pump station. Well, we're going to be receiving quotes tomorrow from where the Dufresne Form levee starts all the way to the pump station on the western side. And that's going to be to raise that levee to roughly a +10. When we're completed with that, I think the idea is to go back and to sweeten up and do a final grading on the stuff that you guys are doing with the maintenance deal right now as well. So we got that going on. Also, the pipeline flood wall on Reach L. Angela Design is handling that for Terrebonne Levee, and that is roughly, they're pretty much on schedule on that. They've got about 25% done on the bridge, and about 10% done on the actual flood wall right now. Moving on to the water monitoring. So, like Joe had spoke a little bit earlier, that a little bit of a change in gears. I think with that, facility planning actually required us to go out to bid. So we're preparing right now, Delta Coast is preparing a bid package, plans and specs to go out to bid for this project. Hopefully we're trying to get something to the Office of Facility Planning by the end of this month. And our idea is to be able to go out to bid, let's say early 26, and we can have it all installed by hurricane season of next year. So that's kind of the plan there. So again, we're going to try to have our plans and specs by the end of this month, the facility planning, for them to review.
Wow.
That's it, guys.
Anything for Kyle?
Any questions?
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. No problem.
Steve Smith.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not Mitch. Stevie Smith with also. So I got three things to report on to the board. First, on the Reach K Terraces, there's a project that we've been trying to get y'all reimbursed for quite some time. We did see some movement on this project in the last month. And the FEMA's closed out this job, which is important because it allows GOSEP to pay us through closeout, which is an important term for them. Like I expect you to get your reimbursement for this job in the next 30 days. It was about a $400,000 cost to this board. You're going to get reimbursed a little bit over $300,000 for the terrace repair work, which is a good thing. And if you remember, that's a convoluted deal that y'all have with the Terrebonne Levee District. We actually did the work for y'all. So hopefully we'll clear this up in the next 30 days. The next project is the work on Reach K, the center section of Reach K. We have a couple of pictures, I think, up on the screen. This is just to remind the board, this is work that's funded by Mesa funding that Lafourche Parish had, that allowed, the parish government allowed us to use this to do this work on the center section of Reach K between the two water control structures. It's about 40% complete. We're trying to achieve a +11 elevation in between those two water control structures. You can see from the pictures really coming out good, and I think Nick made some reference to the dry weather in the last couple of weeks. That's really helped out, like all the dirt work. It's really helped it out a lot. We started at the upper water control structure and work our way south. We got past the Discovery Pipeline in the last couple of weeks, so really a little bit over half of this particular section of levee is at 11 now, and we'll continue working over there. I personally think there's going to be a little bit of a quantity underrun on this job, which is good because we'll be able to put that dirt somewhere else on Reach K that we need it. Okay, so that's a pretty good thing. The last project we have for you, which is not really on the agenda, we've been working with Nick on some pre-positioned contracts for the levee board in case there is a disaster. Have a couple of contractors that are available under pre-positioned contract. We actually have a pre-proposal meeting on that work tomorrow, and then the proposals for that work are due on the 15th of this month. And again, that would put multiple contractors under contract for you to use if you have a disaster, basically as call-out work under master service agreement. Okay. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Any question for Steve? Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Legal permits right away. Anything, man?
No board, no permits this month.
Okay. The board attorney?
I guess I'll go today.
There we go.
Mary yells at me when she can't hear me over the thing. She just sends me an email after a meeting because she doesn't know what I'm saying. All right, so I think we actually will be able to get rid of a couple line items that have been here for, how long has Jason Adams been there? 16 years? 16 years. So, Bourgeois Bennett has, they have closed their file on their end. Amy and I have been dealing with them. They have turned over any remaining funds to unclaimed property to the state. So if anybody's out there that, you know, believes they are owed funds from, you know, twice as I've been an attorney, they can deal with it on that end, but we will officially, I think, be closing our file on this end, and if something pops up, we will bring it to the attention of the board. On the LA contracting, we have updated the board on that. We went through mediation and reached a settlement on that. I just need approval from the board to authorize either Nick or Keith to sign all settlement documents in regard to that matter. And then that will wipe that off. I mean, if y'all don't want to see me anymore, I'll cut out a little fat head and put it in the back, and y'all can just pretend I'm here.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of attorney to give either Nick or I the authority to sign the agreements. Moved by Mitch, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Back.
That's it?
Cool, we got more room on this page. Yeah. Finance committee, Brian?
Yes, Mr. President, Finance Committee met and reviewed all invoices, and we recommend they be paid as presented.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of the finance chairman to pay our bills. Moved by Brett, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Personnel committee, Gavin.
Yeah, Mr. President, we met earlier today and we discussed a few items. First of all, we filled a position. Well, actually, we're advertising for fill a position for the mobile equipment operator. We also discussed and decided to move up and advance a couple of current employees, and then we have some items that need to be approved by the board, Nick. Some clarifications regarding our personnel.
Right, so we discussed a few changes to the personnel policies procedures manual, dealing with prohibited behavior, the drug-free workplace policy, and use of sick leave and certification required when taking sick leave. So the Personnel Committee recommended that the board approve those changes, and we update our personnel manual.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of personnel chairman to adopt the changes to personnel policies. Moved by Max, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And that's all the business we discussed.
Did we have to approve for you guys? No, okay, next meeting, okay. All right, any old business? Any old business? Any new business? No need for executive session? All right, a motion. Moved by Scott, second by Mac. Then we adjourn, all in favor? Aye. Oh.
Step in,